I feel like at this point, you have to take advantage of that insane fact that the government can come in and shut down many different types of commerce right now. So what you want to do is position yourself in an industry or business that would give you the greatest likelihood of being insulated from any of those shutdowns. So things that are delivered online and can be done from home and get delivered through the mail. Those are the sort of things right now that everyone is focusing on, things that are, virtualizing basically everything.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is an entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, a best-selling author, and the original Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. Finally, welcome to the Rubin Report.
How are you? I'm glad to be here.
I am good. Well, I thought you'd be a perfect guy to have on this week because we are both in this crazy town of Los Angeles. I've been to your house. It ain't bad, my friend. You're in your beautiful studio and you got a pretty swank setup. But tomorrow, Gavin Newsom is going to allow us to leave our homes. Can you believe it's actually happening?
Let me give you my take on it. I don't think anybody really listened to him. I don't think there was any lockdown that I noticed other than that I feel terrible for restaurant owners who were forced for no good reason, at least in my opinion, to close their outdoor dining after they spent tons of money putting in the safeguards that one would need to have outdoor dining and all the barriers, partitions, heaters. I mean, it's crazy. And then I really feel bad. But I have to say, other than that, I think that there was like corona fatigue here in LA, and it was more of a ceremonial lockdown. I remember the first lockdown, David, there was no one on the street. There was no cars around. Yeah. This was not that over the last 4 weeks. It was like, let's screw over all the restaurant owners and just like wipe them out of business. That's kind of what it felt like to me. How about you?
Yeah, I think, my audience knows. We've basically been ignoring it around here, and I feel bad for the small business owners and the restaurateurs. And, it's sad when I'm in your neighborhood or even in my neighborhood where you drive by the main drags and, everything's closed. But that's kind of a good spot for us to start because for the people that know you, they know the Leo DiCaprio version of you. But in a way, you're kind of a startup guy. You're gritty and you get out there and you do stuff. That's what your whole career, the ups and the downs, has been about. If you right now were just trying to start up something, how would you feel in the midst of knowing that the government can just come in and shut you down at any point?
I feel like at this point, you have to take advantage of that insane fact that the government can come in and shut down many different types of commerce right now. So what you want to do is position yourself in an industry or business that would give you the greatest likelihood of being insulated from any of those shutdowns. So things that are delivered online and can be done from home and get delivered through the mail. Those are the sort of things right now that everyone is focusing on, things that are, virtualizing basically everything. So I think, I hate to say this, but it's true. Like in the worst of times, you typically have the most opportunity for people who are willing to go out there and take risks. So like if I look at my business, and I had this conversation with someone just last night about, that there's a new round of PPP loans coming out. And I applied for it and I deserve to get it. My business got decimated, my speaking business, because that was my core business. But now I'm doing well because I have a new business. But the point is like what business you were in last year, you have to say, okay, well, in the new reality, the new normal, if you want to call it, those rules, you can't just go out there and do business the way you used to do it. I have people working in my house. I don't have an office. I focus on online delivery, on virtual learning, on other things I know that won't be as impacted. So I think that you have to go out there right now and assume that at any given moment, the rug can be pulled out from under your feet. And when we were growing up, we used to call let's go into defensive industries like food and everyone needs to eat, right? Like the movies, everyone goes, those are like defensive industries, right? Well, now defensive industries are characterized as things that are defensive that can't be shut down by draconian state and government measures. It's insane.
So do you think that's kind of the key to being a good business person, a good business guy in general, someone who can like just see that things have changed? Like I think a lot of people right now, they still think that the old world's coming back. They still think February 2020 is coming back, but February 2021 is going to be way different than February 2020, and I don't think February 2020 comes back.
I think there's one thing that's always constant in this world, and that is that the world's always changing. The difference right now, and I think you're 100% right, I don't think things are going back to the way they were ever. I really don't. And not that people won't have, I think people will not always wear masks, and I think that there won't always be people social distancing because, if you look back right now, we're in the middle of bubbles with things like Bitcoin and all this crazy stuff going on with some real estate prices soaring in certain areas, and you look back in 2008, and we didn't learn anything. It's the same thing again, another bubble.
Yeah.
So people like, it's really bad after 2008. In 2008, it was like, oh, like we got to be really careful. We can't have bubbles. And people forget really quickly. But I think you're right, though, that like I think that there's a new way that people have become accustomed to consuming everything, whether it's food, movies, learning, buying products. I think that people have gotten comfortable right now, or used to, and even prefer in some respects to buy things and stay home. And I think that's never going to change. I think that's going to be here to stay. There's a movie, some crazy movie that was I think Bruce Willis was in this movie where they what was it called? Where they all lived virtual lives. They're like actually locked away in these like little shells. They have like their counterparts, like their clones go out there and move through the world because it's too dangerous and too deadly with viruses and diseases. I can't watch. It's a really interesting movie, but it's almost like what we're heading towards. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I don't know what that is, but it's got a bit of the Matrix in there for sure, right?
100%.
Like we're just the batteries for the digital world in essence.
Basically, yeah. I think one of the things you brought was a very good point. Is that what makes a great business person? It's not just seeing; it's also the ability to pivot quickly. It's pivoting and learning how to be wrong quickly too. You have to learn how to try things and be wrong and live to fight another day. Not to get so emotionally involved in the things that you're trying, where you feel like, I got to make it work because, like, I went this far. And, no, and it's just a bad idea. And, like, you try it, doesn't work, next. And really to not get caught up in bad ideas, not to go down rabbit holes. And also just to keep trying and trying and trying and again until you find that model. And I think if you do that right now, there is a path to success for everybody out there, no matter how desperate things might seem right now.
So that right there is what I want to spend most of our time talking about, because that's your expertise, and you've it's not something you're just talking about. You freaking lived it. But
right, I live it. Yeah, again and again, always, yeah.
But one thing before we get to that, since we are both in LA right now, my audience knows, like, I went to Florida a couple weeks ago. I was happy, man. It was open and good. People were smiling. Like, there was some great energy there and everything else. Are you worried about the future of LA, not only because of Newsom and lockdowns and all that, but the progressive mayor Garcetti here and just generally the amount of homeless and drugs and the whole freaking thing?
Yeah, I'm out of here. I'm getting out of here.
You are? Oh, great.
Yeah.
But you're on my short list of like 4 friends left now.
I gotta go. Yeah, I might keep a small apartment here at some point. I mean, I can't. Listen. California was the place that everybody else dreamed of moving to. It's this, and the weather is beautiful, the terrain is beautiful, the air is mostly clear, at least where we are, right? And but I think really poor political policies have turned it into a freaking cesspool. Not only that, but into a high tax cesspool. And I don't care I'm okay to pay taxes if they're going to use those taxes for great things, but they're not. They use the taxes, they're wasted. And I can't, it's honestly beyond the pale what's happening here. And I think the only solace I could take is I think it's worse in San Francisco. So, like, I mean, I think it's actually worse there, right? So, it's not as bad there yet. Right, so I plan on moving to Florida, and what's bothering me is like it's causing a bubble right now. Everyone's running to Florida, driving up real estate prices. I'm kind of waiting, like, I don't know, but like again, it's this weird thing here where you and I are watching. We're almost like sitting here and watching in real time the decline and unraveling of once great city. It's insane to watch.
Yeah, and what's also weird about it, and I think this exact same thing happened in San Francisco, was it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a couple years, but if you talk to literally everybody, anyone that will talk to you, they all admit it's going in the wrong direction. Yet for some reason, people in LA, they can't make the connection between voting for policies and these politicians and then the bad stuff that happens. There's like a complete disconnect there.
Because I think what happens is that, and I don't want to get to left right here, because but I think that what the Democrats have been very, very clever and very adept at this hearts and minds campaign of using this sort of, they've linked these things where there's some moral high ground that they have with things like climate and gay rights and other things that are completely unlinked to the economy, and yet it becomes an emotional issue, and people, when they go to the voting booth, often vote based on emotion and not based on logic. And they've been really, really clever. They've consolidated this party, which comes to represent things that, like, I think most people don't agree with fiscally, but they have this overwhelming, and I think the Republicans have made some huge errors. Like this, the gay rights. Good Lord. Stop already. Will you just stop? Like just accept it. No one. It's so stupid. So if the Republicans hopefully will wake up and see what's going on right now. They need to, and they've come a long way, I believe. I don't want to get caught up in the election and stuff, but I think that it's time for the Republican Party to be what it should be, which is the most inclusive party for everybody, that cares about less government, more rights for people, and not screwing around with everybody's life. And somehow and both parties always get hijacked by the extremists on either side. But what happens is the extremists on the left have this moral high ground, so to speak, and they're using that to win the hearts and minds of young people and the academics and the high-tech, mafia there, whatever you want to call it. And it's causing elections to be swayed in one way. And it's basically taken this once great city and it's, essentially flushed it literally down the drain.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about lifestyles instead of nonstop yelling, check out our lifestyle playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, check out our full episode playlist. They're both right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.